I haven't got any questions.
No, and I have no answers. So
I know all the answers because we've had a bit of a Ricky and Chris weekend.
we have.
You got in Friday. We had dinner.
We did.
Then you came to see me do a warm-up show.
I did.
And then I saw your film,
You did.
which I loved.
Thank you.
It's funny and silly and sweet, and it's everything what you do, but better. I loved it from beginning to end, and the density of just laughs and funny things that everyone says. Everyone is brilliant in this. The performances are great. It's a lovely story. It's just funny. But personally, I was very excited to see Corky.
Ah.
My favourite, as you know.
Yes, a character that I created for Waiting for Guffman, a film I did a while ago. And he makes a cameo, shall we say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it makes sense in the story. There's a history to it.
He makes an appearance, yeah. I'm happy to talk about the inception of our friendship. I'll tell you how it happened. How did I meet Ricky? People have asked. No one's asked. If one were to say, how did you meet Ricky?
Yeah.
I would have said...
Why don't I say it? Why don't I ask it?
Ah.
Something I've always wondered is... well, don't do that. 'Cause you know I can't. You know I can't
Oh, I
do it.
forgot. If we had done a live television show,
Yeah.
you couldn't have been on it.
No.
No.
Because I can't. I can't do it. If someone says something funny, I laugh, even though
You
I'm not
do,
meant to.
and
Even
that's... I would kill to laugh at anything.
even if I've written the line. We once we wanted to work together. I've been a fan of Christopher's for forever. Obviously, the biggest single influence on my work, not just structurally and things like the fake documentary format, which he nailed years ago, but his acting style, that thing of doing something naturalistic but ridiculous. And so we met, which Chris wants to tell you all about very soon.
Well, yes, it's
We
now...
once flew, I flew to New York, Chris flew from LA to New York, and we spent a week coming up with a project.
Well,
and we spent a week actually
did.
doing selfies. We got
without cell phones. Which
seriously, we just had a fun week in New York. It
but
was like
prior to that, I'd seen The Office when it first went on and loved it. Went crazy, and my wife said, "Well, you should call him." And I said, "I don't just call people. I wouldn't call someone, but I do. I think it's fantastic work. Then you should call him." And I did.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
And then we spoke, and there was an instant connection.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of sensibility, if people do comedy, you can feel that right away if there's a connection.
Yeah, and then we found out that there's lots of reasons.
Yes.
One is Laurel and Hardy.
Yes, Laurel and Hardy is a touchstone, and if you share that in common, then a lot of things take off.
It is like a club, isn't it? It is. Yeah. It's a nice.
It's a small club.
It's a tiny club. I love Laurel and Hardy, not just because they're the funniest people ever. Everything's great. They nailed everything 100 years ago, but it's the relationship. I love that they're precarious. I love the fact they could fall over at any time and do, but. And I stole that for David Brent, that he falls over for our pleasure, but he gets back up again. I love that.
Yes, no, there's no deterring, no. But would you say they're a bigger influence for you, or the movie Goldfinger? You were kind enough to come to the film,
which I say was
and,
was great. So where did the idea come from? Why Mascots?
I think I'm interested in the idea still, because I still haven't learned why this happens. People put on suits of animals, or objects, or things, and go out in front of thousands of people at sporting events and jump or dance around, but no one knows who they are.
Right.
So typically in show business, or my wife calls it the show-off business, one does this because they're a narcissist and you're getting something back, you think, from the audience, and then they know who you are. They know who you are. So then you walk down the street and they say, I know you. You was in that thing. No one knows these people, ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big head goes on, big head goes off. They're not allowed to talk in the world of this. And I found this to be an interesting dynamic. And the people in the film I've done, you get to learn about their lives off and on stage, essentially.
I think it's sweet because it's that thing when you've taken a very small thing, this thing they do, and you've made it their passion and made it very
Yes.
important, and everything else around it.
That is the key, the idea of the passion for something that may seem to people to be arcane or a subculture, but to them, it's the most important thing.
Yeah, and as a filmmaker, a creator, there is a bit of bathos. We are sort of laughing at them a little bit with their small-mindedness, but we're also celebrating it because we're saying, well, you are a little bit in the film. I mean, not in real life. We know how ridiculous it is that they talk about their.
Well, being someone that does certain things that are considered by most people to be odd or questionable,
Yeah.
I can really understand the other side of this.
Well, I was going
So-
to go on to say, but
Yeah.
there's a warmth towards it, and there's
Yes.
there's an empathy and a sympathy because we all do that.
Right.
Everyone thinks that the thing that they're passionate about
Yeah.
is important. Otherwise, we wouldn't be passionate about it. And
Right.
And I think that we both sort of do this a bit. You more than me. You say we're all idiots sometimes, and that's all right.
Oh, yes,
It's-
that's
I
a
mean-
critical part of this. I think I read a piece a long time ago about in the States. It was a baseball player, but it could be any team. And he had been a famous major league player, had played at the highest level in what we call the World Series, even though it's not the World Series. It could be any sport. And now it was past his career, and he was playing for a equivalent of a football non-league team here. And someone said to him on that team, they were in the championship of their small league now, and someone said, well, this couldn't have been anything, though, like what it was when he said it's exactly the same. Because
Yeah.
relative terms, the stakes were as big as they could be for the team that was the small team.
Of course.
And he'd experienced both. He said it's the same. Now, that other person wouldn't have ever believed it, and it's the same. That interests me. So the idea that, yes, everyone is, and you could say everyone's an idiot.
Yeah, but I do like that. And I do celebrate people caring about something, however minor or trivial we think it is. I do like that. I like people. I like people caring and being passionate about a thing.
Yes. I think what I'm interested in is the tunnel vision of someone who, whether it's model trains or a fly tyer. I tie flies for fishing, which you'd think, well, you're sitting at a desk with a magnifying glass and taking feathers and yarn and creating an insect, a fake insect, that you think, and people would say, good work.
But what I like is it's that you're trying to fool a fish, basically. That's that you're putting all your wits, all your human wits, and all your intelligence, and all your years of experience.
You are.
You're thinking, can I fool a fish?
Yes, there's a book called Fooling Fish with Feathers,
Right.
a real book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, this has been done for 400 years.
Yeah. Now, traditionally, people don't consider the fish as intelligent an animal
No.
as humans.
No, traditionally,
So I'd
let's say you were to send a fish out for a coffee, to get you
Yeah.
a coffee,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the fish would
I don't
say
think it would ever come back. Because I go.
they would have forgotten right out the door.
Yeah.
When they
Or-
walked out the door, pushed the door up, and they've gone, oh, God,
What
don't
was
remember.
it? And
Yeah.
then they look down and they see the money.
Right.
And they've never had that sort of money before.
No.
So they think, I'm not going to waste on a coffee. I'm going to buy a small
Shopping.
wig.
Yes,
Small wig.
yeah, going shop. And glasses, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're right. That makes none of it makes any sense. And
And you've got to take that forward as a director, because a director's job is to make the audience feel as passionate about this tiny thing as you do.
well, at least to have empathy or to understand
exactly.
it and to
Yeah.
know that legitimately these people, in this case, find this. And there's certain people who are more earnest in this film about their jobs
Yeah.
and will continue forever. And there's certain people that may be less delusional at the end.
Well, also, we always see the bigger picture, and I think most great stories, you take the small story against the backdrop. Casablanca is a backdrop against the biggest war ever, but it's about a love triangle. And
That's what that was?
yeah, I think so. But I think we always have to go small. We always have to.
Well, Christmas Carol, what's the real story there?
Well, that's how redemption. You can be a good person. It's never too late to change.
Ben-Hur, what's the story there? Chariot race?
Don't remake it.
Yeah. What I would do, I'm not directing this. I'm
No.
sure you're already doing this because you know what you're doing is you're getting foot inserts, you're getting this, you're getting hands.
It's only that.
No, I think it would be funny just to zoom in and get a little bit of this, and then you can do whatever you want. Just reaction shots of me doing that, you laughing, obviously. Then this is going to be a piece of cake.
Can we just get one of me doing this, and Noddy of you going?
Yeah. Well, nodding is good, interesting, and pretending to interrupt almost as if, and then continue.
Well, why didn't you start saying something, and I'll interrupt just as a.
Just to interrupt.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I find.
Can I stop you there, Chris?
That's all you need. Do a couple of those.
Okay.
And vice versa.
I'll just do different. Yeah.
I was traveling about a week ago, and I noticed this is where you interrupt me. How many times do we have to
I just got enthralled.
No.
I was just
making it up. It's not true.
What you?
Last night I went to my hotel. I went, well, you keep listening. You're supposed to interrupt.
Okay. I'll interrupt you this time. Okay. Right. Start another one. But don't make it too
I went
interesting.
into a shoe shop.
Really?
Well, that's not enough of an interruption. You need to have a
I
whole
didn't mean to
sentence.
interrupt you. What shoe shop?
Not real. It's not real. I'm making
sorry,
it up.
sorry. Okay, right, do it again. This time I'd interrupt you and it'd
It's no
just be...
shoe shop. I didn't go into a shoe
Okay,
shop.
do something else, but don't
I was
make it too...
taking...
Okay.
Someone said to take the tube to get to where we're having tea, it would be faster. You're doing it again. You're just
Because I was
listening.
fascinated by why you were going to tea.
It's not interesting. I'm trying to make it dull.
Okay, to talk about...
I'm not saying when I was at university I discovered this genetic... You're still listening. You see,
Yeah, I
this
am,
is the
because that was fascinating,
Okay.
because I didn't
All right.
even know you did genetics at university.
I didn't. This is made up. You see,
Okay.
None of this is true.
I'll do it then.
I think we should not look at each other and just pick a camera, and the
let's
whole
do
thing
that.
should just be
Let's do
parallel
that.
cameras. I don't know how you've... This is the two-shot here. See?
So do you look at
Got
that
it.
one then?
See. So now I think we should just look at each other like this and say, I went into the shoe shop.
I'll interrupt you there, Chris.
Well, no, not now. It doesn't work. Now that only works. It doesn't matter. Look, let's talk about something important.
Okay.
I just lost track of what that would be. Who's in the film?
Well,
That would be a question you'd ask me.
Okay, I'll ask you. So Christopher Guest, tell us who is in this film. Let me do it again.
Yes.
I'll do a few alternatives and you can choose one you like.
Right.
Okay. Christopher. Do it one more time? Okay. I did want to ask you. Well, don't do that. This is serious. I did want to. Okay. Ready? This one. Serious questions.
Yes.
Okay, like inside the actor studio. I'm James Lipton. You're Christopher Guest. Okay, ready? The cast of this film was who?
I wish I remembered. There are people.
Am I in it?
Are you in it? You were in it. You were cut out.
I don't even remember.
Ricky called me and said, I want to be one of those buskers in the tube. And I said, doesn't have anything to do with the film. He said, I don't care. I said, you're famous. We can do it. We shot it. Not in the film. Many of the people I've worked with, someone's going to need to fill me in because I can't remember. Jane Lynch, Parker Posey, Zach Woods, Tom Bennett,
Great.
Fred Willard,
Amazing.
Chris O'Dowd, Kerry Godleman, wonderful actors,
Yeah,
great
really
improvisers, fantastic actors.
I did
Doesn't
want
matter.
to talk a little bit about the process because I've done one. I've done a few things with you, but
Yes.
one thing that you writing and directing, which was
For your consideration.
exactly,
Yeah.
and I was fascinated with the process because I don't think people realise is how much preparation goes into this.
Yes.
I think people think you ad lib, they turn up and they just talk
Correct.
for ages.
That is
and-
what people think.
Yeah,
And I've been trying to explain this for 30 years.
If you did that, it would be awful.
Yeah.
Now you have a structure. You have how many pages would you say you have?
Well, I think typically an outline might be 25 pages of the story. That takes about 6 months to write.
Yeah.
Longer than a conventional screenplay in some cases. It's every scene. It's the first, second, third act layout of the film. That gets broken down into cards, which describe every single scene, what happens within every single scene. Then there's a separate document that's character backgrounds, which are where every character went to school, where they grew up.
Well, I remember, because you spoke to me on the phone many times and you asked me all these questions about my character, and there was a lot of background, and I've never had to do that as an actor. Either I come up with a character myself and I know it, or I don't put any effort into it.
But you have to know these things because to improvise, and there's no dialogue written, there are a few joke concepts. In Spinal Tap, for instance, obviously the 11 joke was a written joke because we needed the prop to have, say, 11 on it.
Of course.
But 95% of the time it's improvised, and there's no rehearsing. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Which is hard for people to understand because we start rolling, we say action, and people talk.
And I was in 2 or 3 scenes in that, and each time you just set up 2 cameras and the scene's set, and you sort of roll for what was then 7 minutes, because I assume that was the reel, but now, what do you do now?
Well, because if you're shooting digitally, it could go on for 20, or it could go on forever.
And so do you?
Well, certain people do.
Fred Willard.
Fred has been known to, Fred Willard, he said to me once, when we were shooting film, and the mag was 10 minutes, and it ran out, and I said, cut. And he said, I'm not finished. And I said, well, we've actually run out of film.
Yeah.
But there were takes in this that were 14 minutes long.
I remember all you said when at one particular scene, the first scene, I think it was me and Mike McKean and Coolidge.
Jennifer Coolidge, yes.
Yeah, and I was the head of the film company making this Home for
Purim.
And you said, this is the scene where you suggest to change the name.
That's right.
That's all you said.
Right, because you found the name, maybe it was...
Too Jewish.
Too Jewish.
Yeah, and then everything else was ad-lib. I mean, I kept ruining it with everyone else saying...
Laughing.
Funny things. Yeah.
Sure.
But, the scene where that woman, what's her name?
Carrie Aisley was interviewing you, yeah. Yeah, that was, I've never heard you laugh as long, as hard as that.
Well, we were both crying.
Yeah, and she's very deadpan, and so that's a fun piece, yeah.
Just to ask me
maybe on the extras, not your extras.
I think it's on YouTube, but I couldn't get through it. I couldn't get through it. Just her ridiculous questions were amazing. And that's the fun of this, because everyone's stupid. It's everyone in your world.
That's a key thing. I mean, in comedy, if you had people that were competent, then there's no comedy, obviously. So,
and obviously the blind spot we share. They're not just stupid; they're slightly arrogant in their stupidity.
Absolutely.
Which is important. Yeah. Otherwise, there's nowhere to go. But you do create a world of lovely, stupid, trivial people who you sort of root for, which is quite a feat, I'd say.
Thank you.
I think you do that in all your work.
Thank you.
And also, I like your shoes.
Yeah, these as well. Good trainers.
Yeah.
Black.
Yeah.
Stealth.
I've got loads of these.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She's a pencil.
Emotions?
That came so close to me.
Benny, the banana slug failed his drug test.
What?
Have you been drinking today?
Yes. No. Yes.
Laughing?
We have a drug problem, and we got a sex problem. Hey, get back here!
Mascots, they don't die. They just hang in a closet.
Yeah, because it's an outfit.
It is, it's an outfit.